So I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of you are wondering, what's going on? Where is the time lapse? Well, the way the build was going this episode, I very quickly realized that a time lapse just didn't make any sense. So instead, I'm going to show you through what I've done piecemeal. I was going to bring you guys in earlier, but then I just kept going and I got distracted and ended up actually having a lot of fun. So this whole build has kind of been a distraction. I'm going to show you where we are on the map. We're just like over here. This is not where this is going to end up going. This is going to end up being a natural gas power plant based off of the one in New York City. I don't know what it's called. I forgot to look that up. But if you look around New York City, you'll probably find it. It's massive. And I know I wanted it on this side of the river, but I think it's going to end up going more this way towards the west when the river like curves around. But for now, it's here, because it's easy enough to just move it. And I really wanted to build it. I just felt like building it, even though I know this last episode I said I would be working on that kind of Boston area. I figured, what's the harm in sprucing it up a little? I haven't done any of this kind of building really before, not just in this city, but in Minecraft in general. I haven't really built many industrial things. I had to come up with ways of doing things, which has been a lot of fun. Like the pipes, which obviously used my retextured walls, which why we don't have concrete walls and slabs and stairs still mind boggles me. Like, what the heck, Mojang? We deserve it. We should have stairs and walls and slabs for all concrete blocks, but whatever. I'm getting distracted. But the point is, I started working on this, and as you can see, it is obviously not done. Most of this is like kind of bare bones, just started. Over here is a little bit more finished. You can kind of see more of like what it's, so it's not like too far off. A lot of this is like getting there, but ultimately it's going to require a lot of little windows here and there, and ventilation things and pipes and whatever this is, I don't know, and just putting it everywhere, and ultimately you get something that vaguely resembles a power plant, ultimately that is the goal. I love this build so much, this little one. It needs a little bit of work. I'm not super happy with this, and this side here needs work, but this side I'm not actually that unhappy with, just because I think the pipe really like sells it. And this side here I love looking at it from here with that smokestack there. Really good. And then I just like quickly whipped up these like water things because because it's a natural gas power plant, which you might be wondering, why natural gas, why all this stuff. So it randomly popped into my head that I just wanted to build something industrial in the city, and I was like, well, hey, I'm just gonna go for it. And so I ended up looking up, how does New York get its power? And I found, at least from the documentary that I watched that was like, I think made a few years ago, that most of it is natural gas. And a lot of the big ones in the city of New York are natural gas power plants. So that got me into trying to figure out, how do natural gas power plants work? like a science experiment. And I was like, okay, I've got to figure out how they work now. So I watched a few videos on how natural gas power plants work and how they cool down water and things like that. And so this, I don't know exactly what this would be, but I saw little like circle pits of water when I was looking on Google Earth, and I couldn't tell what it was. And I just was like, I'm just going to put a few down, and it looks semi-industrial, so we'll go for it. I don't know what it is. I'm not an engineer, and I only got so much information from those videos explaining how they work, because they explained how they worked, and then I would go look at the gas plant on Google Earth, and I'd be like, this doesn't look anything like what they explained. I don't understand how it works. Clearly, because they don't look at all like how they explained, like the dual engine system, like the dual generator system that they explained, where they heat up steam on one side and then use the hot air on the other side to turn two different generators to generate electricity. I don't know. And then there was a bunch of stuff on the roof that in typical Google Earth fashion has like little to no detail, so I just looked up a picture of like a substation with like transformers and was like, I'm just gonna stick that up there because it looks vaguely electrical. And I actually think it worked out decent. Like, I think it actually comes across decently well as like, vague electricity things. That's one thing I'll say in this episode, you know, it comes up a bit. Nothing has to be perfect. You know, whenever you're designing a city, it doesn't have to be perfect. Because mine isn't going to be, no one's is. Not everyone knows everything. And, you know, one day maybe I can wish to know someone who knows how this works that could just explain it to me. But by then I'm going to have built, one or at least two, at least one, maybe two of these natural gas power plants. I'm not going to go back and change it. I'm not happy with this funnel. If you're not happy with it either, yeah, that makes sense. I like this one a lot better with the design that I went for. This one is going to be changed so it's more similar to this kind of shape. I think it looks a lot better just being flat. Like the one in real life is tapered, but it's tapered so little that it's so hard to mimic in Minecraft in a decent way. It's really hard to get those kind of really long tapered shapes. So I think I'm just going to make it completely straight, and I think it will still come across. But yeah, that's it for the first update. I will be back, obviously, in no time for you, but I'll be back with the second clip where I will have worked more on this build. So I've made some progress, as you can see. I fixed the main smokestack there, and I've added a few more here, and I've gotten a little bit more progress done on this build. So a little bit more detailing around. It's not a huge amount of progress. Honestly, I'm finding it hard because there's not a lot to look at, and with these kinds of buildings, it tends to be a lot of blank space. Not the Taylor Swift song, but there tends to be a lot of like blank wall space where there's just nothing, and that doesn't tend to look very good in Minecraft. Some of it I'm okay with. Like this is a lot of blank space here, but I'm okay with it because I want it to, be a focal point. But like this wall here, there needs to be stuff here. But I do at least have a vague shape. Technically this is the front, which is weird to think about because that side looks way better. But in real life, the front is a lot more blank wall space and boring as well. Because eventually, obviously, this is the river here. Right, just a reminder, this is going to end up probably moving over this way. But ultimately, like, this is the riverfront. This is where the road's going to be that actually enters the facility. And this is like kind of the ring road. I want to start working on the road around this side so that we can officially cap off the building area, and I can get in a fence, and then I could even build the road that would connect in. And then once I get all of that, I think we're basically going to be done with this project. Thanks for, actually watching through. I know that it's probably confusing more than anything. Why all of a sudden is he doing this power station? It really is just, I wanted to do it. And I have been having a lot of fun. Like just this area here, like it's just like a lot of pipe work and things, but I don't know, it's just kind of fun to see all these industrial like components and things. I don't know, it's just, I feel like it's not something that's done in Minecraft enough, which is just industrial areas, like dirty, kind of modern dirty industry. I was looking up online to try to find some ideas on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe I didn't look very hard, but at an initial glance, I didn't see much of this kind of stuff. Like more like modern or brutalist kind of industry. There is bits of it here and there, but I didn't see, especially nothing on this scale of like trying to mimic something in real life. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun and I'm gonna keep trucking along. Okay, and this is the last update before the end. I know that now because, if you can tell, we are getting there. We're getting close. Got the road that I was talking to you guys about this last update. We're not quite finished yet. There's still more to do. But I'm really happy with what's happened. I would have loved to be able to do this as a time lapse and make it nice and, and plan it all out ahead of time, because most of the builds I do plan out ahead of time very extensively so that I know what I'm going to be doing in that time lapse and that it works out. But obviously this has been a lot of trial and error. I mean, last time you guys saw this wall ended here. And then I realized I wanted to put this in. You know, there was no way necessarily of knowing that I wanted to put this in quite yet. But I did. Yeah, I like it. I love the roof. It's just cobbled deep slate walls, which I've retextured to look like white concrete because I don't use cobbled deep slate in the city anyways. And I use these walls and slabs and stairs all the time. And then the iron blocks with the pale oak buttons to look like kind of like almost rivets, kind of, I guess. And then you have these pipes coming down the side here. And this wall is so... I think this wall shows how little details can mean so much. You have these 3 little vents. And I think that, along with everything else, once I get more detail in here on the ground, I think this is like good. Like, this is good. This area here is a little bland. I need to come up with something here and maybe something there. I think that might stay bland. And then just something on this wall here. I want to put something here, but I think that wall is fine. And then obviously all of this up here needs works on. It needs pipes and ducts and all that kind of stuff. I can show you a little bit. Up here is vaguely, you know, some roof work here that's going to be put all over the roof up top here. So you can kind of see little bits and pieces of like what that's going to look like. Gonna bring some of these liquid containers, I think, up here in the front, a few. But yeah, generally speaking, I think, especially this part here with all the windows, I think it really comes across and it really just, it speaks. Like sat here with the trees and the wall put in now. Obviously, oldest trick in the book, using cobwebs as that kind of like coily type of fence. I don't know what it's called, because like barbed wire fences are usually straight, but then this is like coiled barbed wire. Which, a little bit of an off-topic distraction here. I used to live near a farm when I was very young that had barbed wire. And I remember my grandfather telling me, oh yeah, you just, you know, whenever you needed to get past the fence, that wasn't a gate, because that's not how barbed wire works. You just have to hop over it. And me as a little kid that wasn't very tall, I'm like, hop over it. And he's like, yeah, you just grab it with your hand and push it down as you walk, as you like straddle it and then get over. Suffice to say, I've not gone over it very many times because a couple times I got nicked by it and it wasn't very fun. Barbed wire is no joke. It's not very pleasant, even when you know it's going to happen. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I think the funnels, especially from this angle, are going... they just look great. I think the profile of them really works. Yeah, I think this addition here really helped solve this side, because I had the road coming out this way because I knew I wanted it to come out this kind of direction, but I wasn't sure what to put here and stuff. But the addition of this parking lot and all of this stuff over here, I mean, this side over here is basically just detail work and then it's done. Like, all of the things are in. I mean, I guess I should say the entire build itself is at this point going to just be detail work. I've got the boundary for what we're gonna do, and it's just finishing up all this wall work, which, you know, is work to be fair, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really happy with all of this. I mean, the scale of this project I think is a lot bigger than I realized it would be. And if you look at what we did in, like, here's the last episode with a couple things I'll show you at the end that I did. Here's, like, you know, the episode before that was like this kind of area, and then you look at this. I mean, in terms of like square footage of land, it's a very, very large build, and it's very tall too. I mean, I can show you right now. If I open F3, we can look at, so the height of this is 107, and if I teleport quickly to one of the taller buildings, I think this spire here is the tallest building in the whole city. If not, it's the Woolworth building. We'll take a look. F3, this is 205, so only 30 blocks or so, because I think it was 170. Yeah, this is taller. So when you think about that, like, those funnels easily come up to the height of some of these skyscrapers. But when I was looking in real life, the reference that I was using of of the power station, I mean, they are that tall. I mean, if you look at how tall the funnels are compared to something like the New York skyline, they are that tall. I mean, I, in fact, kind of shortened mine a bit because in real life, they're really, really massive. I wanted my whole factory to feel massive, but not necessarily be the biggest thing around, just to give me a little bit more wiggle room. Because obviously Minecraft has a height limit. I mean, technically real life has a theoretical height limit, but in Minecraft you have a very distinct height limit. You can't build any taller. And so whenever you're scaling projects, if you want something to be like the tallest building in the world, you have to think of that. Well, how do you make it feel like the tallest building? Well, every other tall building needs to be significantly shorter to make it stand out and make it feel extra tall. You know, it's a whole thing, but that's getting a little off topic. The point being that I'm really happy with this update. I think it came out well. The detail work is coming along. I can show you a little bit over here. This area over here is eventually, I'm thinking it's going to be like an abandoned part. So like this kind of design is just going to get copy and pasted out. But obviously we're not going to be working on that in this episode. I just wanted to get a little bit of a concept, which, can I just say, one of my favorite things about Axiom is force place. You can place blocks on anything. So like I could technically place this grass midair, at least I should be able to. But one thing I love is being able to put it on stone, because I think the ability to put this grass and ferns on non-dirt and grass blocks really helps break up that texture. I think it really adds to it when you get a little bit of grass coming out of the cobble. Really helps sell that this used to be, you know, stone like over here, but has been abandoned for a very long time. And then obviously these walls are meant to be places where they would attach like ship ropes, but you know, they've rusted a little bit here and there. So yeah. So that is this update. I will see you one more time at the end. We'll do a full tour of the couple of builds that I did in the Boston area before I got distracted, and obviously the finished version of this. Okay, and so now we're back with the final tour. Yeah, I'm really happy with this build. I think it came out really well. I did this advertisement here, which I think really solidifies the front. I mean, I think it really pulls everything together. It weirdly does. The logo is based off of Georgia Power's logo. I was looking for inspiration for a gas power plant logo, and it was either that or a cartoonist drawing of a gas power plant, which wasn't what I was looking for. But of course, Georgia Power was like a triangle, kind of like the Delta logo. So I just made mine a circle, and yeah, but copied the rough kind of design idea. As for why it's OPE, it's not supposed to be, but I will forgive you for thinking it looks like it's an O. But that's all I have, the space to work with, because how this is like spaced out here, if I wanted to do 3 letters, which I did, then I only had 2 spots. This is supposed to be an N, but how do you do an N when you only have 2 blocks wide? So yeah. But I think OPE, whatever, who knows what that stands for. It's supposed to be Newport Electric, but you know what? It looks like an O, so it's an O now, I guess. But yeah, just added in some rough kind of bits and pieces. Probably might come back in the future and do a little bit more, again in the future. But I honestly think when it comes to this kind of stuff, like, it's like less is more and more is more when it comes to industrial places. Like, one part, you kind of want a lot of busyness and pipes and things everywhere, because they're not clean places. They're very dirty, busy environments. But at the same time, especially when it comes to the architecture, I found that having these massive blank walls actually turned out okay, because you have these small bits of detail that would draw your eye. Like if I come back to the front here, or even here, but if I come back to the front, you'll notice that you have all of this wall space here that's essentially blank. Like it has some doors and then these little vents here. And yet weirdly, it actually, I think, came out really well. Like I think it speaks, because there's bits and pieces on the other walls, so it doesn't all feel unfinished. When in reality, it's not like I did that much to finish this wall, just, added those vents, but I think it comes across really well and it speaks. And I'm very excited for this build. Yeah, I love the parking out here in the front with the crosswalks that are a little bit run down. Which, a tip, if you're using stone for like roads that haven't been paved for a bit, you can use diorite to look like the white paint has like started to chip away. I think it honestly looks better even without shaders. If I show you pretty quickly here. Obviously I have the smooth textures by Vanilla Tweaks on, and I think that helps, but you can see how it like starts to look a little bit more cracked and dirty and starts to look like, oh, the paint's chipping off. So yeah, I really like that. And I love this wall. I think the wall comes across really nicely. Yeah, I think this whole thing is so cool. And again, I mean, if you look at it on a map and compare it in size to some of my other builds, like this is a very large build, which makes sense because it's a power plant. Obviously, it's going to be very large. As for where this is going to end up, if you notice, if I zoom out here, you'll see this road here. The plan is to continue this down and make another bridge that's going to end probably about here. So as for where the power station here is going to go, it's probably actually going to end up like somewhere over here on this side of the bridge. So not too far away. It's going to end up over here on this side of the bridge. But yeah, I really like this build. I think it came out great. And for the other build that I did basically for this episode, not too much, just a little bit of cleanup work over here. I did some flowers here. Basically, I took the top of the rose flowers and shrunk them down so it's like half height, which is a trick I learned to do not that long ago and is so helpful because sometimes you want the roses to look like full flower bushes, but they're too tall, and yeah, so being able to shrink them down. You can do that with any of the too tall flowers if you have Axiom. You just literally turn off updates with this, and then you can copy and paste the flowers down like I can show you, because I have force place. So what I would do is I would go along like this, and then you simply move it, take the move, bring it down, and bam, you have half tall flowers. So yeah, very cool. As for the builds that I did, I just did, I think, these two builds here. So this is a pretty simple build. I wanted it to be, didn't need to be anything. And then filled in this kind of end build here with this building. Yeah. So this area is also coming along. I'm not entirely sure what the next episode is going to look like. You can see that I was prepping to do more work for this episode on this area, and I ended up getting distracted, as I said. So we'll have to see how that goes. I don't know if we're going to be back in this area. Like I said, I think in the last episode, my goal is to start trying to at least get some builds in between. I don't know if we're going to get like this amount of area done next episode. But as for what we're going to do, it's not going to be anything next to the power station. We're going to be coming back in this area probably around here. I'm going to try to finish up some of this road work here in this area, and then I think try to bring this out this way so that when we get to the world tour in episode 20, which is fast approaching because this is episode 18, we have one more episode before our world tour. So next episode is going to be doing a few new builds, and then it's going to be going through and fixing up things down here. It's going to be a lot of cleanup work and stuff like that, getting it prepped for that world tour. Might even head back over here and do a little bit of work. I have done some work, a little bit here. You can't really tell what's going on, but all of this is stuff that's happened in between the last 10 episodes. So I might go back and do a little bit of cleaning up here and there, but for the most part, this probably isn't going to get touched, and there's not going to be anything major added after this next episode. But yeah, keep a lookout for episode 20 in our next world tour. It's going to be fun to world tour through this downtown area because I feel like we've been in there a lot, but at the same time, like, I feel like we haven't been there for a bit. At least I haven't, It's been a couple weeks since I've actually even stepped foot in this area. Definitely going to finish this dock too. This is still unfinished. And probably finish up some of this waterfront. Yeah, so that's good. As for recommendations this episode, I didn't actually think about doing that. Since this episode is weird already, I'm gonna leave it for next time. You get one episode without recommendations. I'm sorry. But next episode we'll be back with some, because next episode will definitely be a time lapse again. I had fun doing it this way, but time lapse works better for this format usually. It was just this one build that I think didn't work out that way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun building in this episode. I think it was actually really interesting to try to work in a style that I don't normally work in, which is more industrial. It's very different from everything that I've done in this series and before. I've never built anything like this before. It was a lot of fun trying to figure out how gas power plants work so I could build something realistic, and then realizing that gas power plants don't exactly look the same. So I had to just, come up with random things anyways. Like, I don't know what this is. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.